everyone to the third webinar in the series Innovate with Ignite. I am Aradhita, I'm communication expert at Ignite and your host for today. Today we have with us Endrin. He's a co-founder at Ignite and he has extensive experience in project management for the life science industry. So Endrin has actually worked for multiple global pharmaceuticals in Germany and in Switzerland, and today he's here with us to share his experience and his insights into the processes that make an efficient project management which drives innovation for life science industry. So Endrin, to you my first question is, what do you think are the key factors that determine the success of a project in general?
Thank you actually for having me today, Adita. Very nice to talk to you. So for me, actually there's three main things that you need to consider if you want to have a successful project. One is really clearly defined scope and objectives. I've experienced in the past that a lot of times the scope and objectives of a project are not really clearly visible to everyone, and this is really important to set expectation among all the stakeholders in the project. And it's also really important to refine and revise those project goals and objectives you set at the beginning, as most often during a long project at least, they need to change as you need to adapt to changing environments. So yes, really have clearly defined milestones, have clearly defined objectives, scope and deliverables, and also success criteria. So in order that you can be successful in your project. The second point I see is actually efficiency. Efficiency comes in a lot of different ways. I would also really focus here especially on efficiency in terms of time, costs and resource management. Why those three points? I think you can really get the best out of a project if you're really efficient in those three aspects. With those efficient processes also then in place, you can be really sure that you minimize delays in your project.
Can you give us a bit more concrete example on how can we actually, because resources and time, everything remains as it is, but then how do we efficiently utilize it?
So for me, one good example is time management, especially your calendar management. So we nowadays have a lot of online meetings, sometimes also on-site meetings, and to get an idea of which meetings you really need to attend, and then to get an idea of what meetings you need to prioritize is key. So check once a week on a regular basis what's in your calendar, and decline the meetings you cannot attend due to other priorities. Yeah. And yes, the third one is for me adaptability and flexibility. On a project there is a lot of uncertainties, and during the time period, most often the project I was on were more than 6 months, there is a lot of changes. And for me it's key in a project that the team and all the stakeholders involved are able to adapt flexibly.
Can you give us an example where you saw this kind of adaptability was really needed, otherwise it could have gone down?
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, most of the projects that I do are long and are IT projects. So basically in those projects you most often have a vendor selection process that is included. And in this area it's really important to be as flexible as possible until the last moment that it is allowed. So we heard from Alice actually in the last webinar, agile ways of working. So this also comes into place when we are selecting a vendor. So most of the user stories should be as flexible as possible, as some of the vendors might change pricing, might change the product over time, and then you need to be quick, you need to adapt and be able to be flexible. So basically, if you have this mindset of being able to change, this really helps you to deliver a project successfully.
Now my next question is a little bit more specific for life science field, because here when you have a project there are many different expertise that come together and work on that project. There are people with scientific background, medical background, business or IT background which come together. And how do you think an efficient way of working would facilitate teamwork in such a diverse team?
So in my project, like you correctly said, it's most often different various teams. So we have the IT department and the business. Most often it's scientists, and also it can be scientists from various sides. So I would say it is best, if it is possible, to create work packages, and with those work packages you define different cross-functional teams. So you look at the work packages and see, okay, what is needed for that work packages to deliver it successfully, and then you try to mix those teams up as good as possible. Meaning that you have someone responsible for IT in a squad, someone from some scientist from one side, and you really try to have as mixed teams as possible.
You mean as representatives, right?
Yes, exactly.
But you know, when project is moving forward, the requirements of the project change, or sometimes even the scope changes, and then the squad that you have prepared, the representatives that you have, might need to change. And how do you make that happen?
Also here, like mentioned before, you really need to be flexible, and also linking back to Aleph, you need to be agile. So after a while, most often the work packages are delivered in sprints. Most often it's 2 weeks, between 4 weeks, and after every sprint you can revise the groups you have created, and it might be that after a specific point you really need to change up those groups again. So this really ensures that the group that you've created is always are always the specialists that really can deliver the work package that you created for the next sprint.
Okay, but you know, when you have this huge diverse group of people, even though they are just representatives and you have a fewer number, it might happen that some of them feel that they are not heard well, or they don't understand the other party very well. And how do you facilitate this kind of how do you bridge this kind of gap?
Yeah, so most often what we really try to do is to have a bit of co-creation approach. So we try to facilitate workshops with really defined deliverables of that workshop, where you can really enable the team to take decisions also on the next work packages, for example, or to take decisions on what should be focused next. So this really ensures that everyone in the project feels heard and that they feel enabled to drive the project forward. Also coming into that direction is then what's important next to co-creation, and this co-creation process is easy and clear communication. I've experienced that with various stakeholders, they speak different languages, and that it's really crucial that you get them on a level that they understand each other. So yeah, have regular meetings, weekly sessions where every squad, if we work in work packages, can rethink what they did during 2 weeks, so they can present it to everyone, so that everyone is aware what is happening on the project.
But I have a point which probably you can answer with your experience, that when for communicating to all these representatives of the squads, you are continuously the most at least the traditional way of doing it is via emails, and most of them are involved in more than one project. They have I don't know, hundreds of emails, and probably there the communication gap again happens. So how do you bridge now this kind of gap, which is happening even though you are still doing your part?
Yeah, most of the projects actually struggle with that communication problem. So I see there's three communications channels usually in a project. You mentioned correctly, it's email. The rest is a SharePoint or some shared document space, and the last one is weekly status meetings, or any status meetings where you update them. So there is no right answer to this question. I think a mixture of all three is important to have. You have people that you reach best via email, but others are different. So you need to invest time there. I guess that there is no standard you can implement, and you need to feel a bit what the team is looking for. But also there, get feedback, be flexible, and communicate as proactive as possible.
Okay, thank you so much, Andren, for being with us today here, and thank you all for tuning in. And I hope this session was insightful also for you. If you have any questions, you can just write in the comments. Stay tuned for the next webinars and ask yourself, are you lightning quick?